Welcome, pilot. My name is Daniel. I go by MrAxebane, and today I'm going to teach you how to play Thunder Helix. Thunder Helix is an arcade-style flight sim that is currently in early access. It's an excellent game, but it does not currently have a tutorial. That's where I come in. Part 1. Flying your aircraft. Controlling your aircraft in flight is actually one of the easiest aspects of Thunder Helix. So don't worry, you'll get the hang of flying pretty quickly. It's also quite difficult to actually crash. So don't panic if you get close to the ground. You can have a very hard landing and you'll probably be fine. You can increase your throttle with the W key. You can decrease it with the S key. You can rotate to the left with A and rotate to the right with D. You can also set your throttle using the number keys, which is extremely handy, and this is actually the primary way that I like to control my throttle. If you press the 1 key, your throttle will be set to about 33%. This will cause you to descend or lose altitude rather quickly. If you press number 2, you'll lose altitude slowly. If you press number 3, you'll maintain level flight, which makes the number 3 key extremely useful. If you press number 4, you will gain altitude slowly. If you press number 5, you'll gain altitude quickly. Also, I hope you like my drawings. Also, if you push your mouse forward, it will pitch the nose of your aircraft down, which will allow you to travel forward. If you pull the mouse down, it will pitch the nose of your aircraft upward, which will allow you to travel backward. This is using the mouse plus keyboard control option. There's also a purely keyboard control option if you'd rather use that. And if you would like to invert these controls, there's an option in the control options to do that as well. Also, if you move the mouse to the left, it will slowly turn the nose of your aircraft to the left. And if you move your mouse to the right, it will slowly turn the nose of your aircraft to the right. But it won't rotate as quickly with the mouse as it will with the A and the D key. So just keep that in mind. If you need to turn quickly, use A and D. If you need to turn slowly, use the mouse. Now I'm going to power up the aircraft and do a little bit of flying to just show you all this in action. I can use W to increase the throttle, or I can press the 5 key to go to 100% throttle. The systems will power up. The engine will slowly get going, and as soon as it's got enough power, you'll lift off. So now I'm flying. I can use the A key to spin to the left, D key to spin to the right. If I move the mouse to the right, it will tilt my aircraft and spin even a little bit faster by using D and the mouse. Because I've got the throttle at 100%, it's going to climb, and it already has actually, I believe. Or actually it's still climbing. It will climb to the highest altitude that it can, and then it will maintain that altitude. If I decrease the throttle, it will begin to lose altitude, but only if I decrease the throttle below 50%. You can see now in the bottom right, my altitude is dropping. 175, 160. If I hit the number 1 key or hold down S key until it drops to the lowest throttle, my altitude will lower very quickly. And even if you're descending quickly, you can land a very rough landing just like that without taking any damage. In fact, it's actually quite difficult to take damage from flying poorly, so don't worry. If I pitch the mouse forward, pitches the nose of the aircraft down. Pull the mouse back, pitches the nose of the aircraft up. And once again, it's extremely handy to use the number 3 key to set your throttle at exactly 50%, which means you will maintain the current altitude. My altitude is 149, and it's staying right there. It won't go up, it won't go down. This is extremely handy when you're trying to winch supplies, which I will cover later in this video. And just remember, if the nose is pitched down, your aircraft will be flying forward. If the nose is pitched up, your aircraft will actually be flying backwards. Now I'm going to show you how to land. Currently I'm at 50% throttle. I'm going to rotate until I can see the runway. I'm going to pitch the nose down a little bit so that I'm traveling forward. Now I'm going to press the number 2 key to reduce my throttle. As you can see, I pretty much overshot, but I'm still descending. I'm going to wait until I've descended to, say, maybe an altitude of 40 or so, and then I'm going to press the number 3 key. Now my altitude is locked at 38, so I'm relatively close to the ground. I'm going to rotate back. Now I'm going to pull back so that I'm not traveling forward as quickly. I'm going to press the number 1 key to reduce my throttle to the minimum and bring it down. I didn't land exactly on the helicopter pad, but that's okay. You can practice takeoff, landing, and flight in the free flight scenario, which is what I'm doing right now. So there are no enemies to worry about in this scenario. Just you, the landscape, the airport, and also supplies that you can practice winching. That's what these magenta diamonds or magenta triangles are here. You have a fuel gauge down here to the left. This is very important to keep an eye on your fuel gauge. You will have to resupply your fuel probably at least once during each mission. When it starts getting low, like below about 50 or 40%, it'll begin to flash red to try to warn you that your fuel level is getting somewhat low. Once it's at less than 50%, you may want to start looking for some fuel drums. And I'll show you how to do that later in this video as well. Over to the right here, you have an armor gauge. This, of course, shows you how damaged your aircraft is. Right now, it's not damaged at all. And of course, you can see your speed here, but also here. And you can read your altitude here, but also here. As far as navigating, you have a handy compass here at the top of the screen. And the objective that you currently have selected will show up as a green triangle, like right here. So I recommend when you first start playing Thunder Helix that you go into your options by pressing escape, and you can review your control options here, and at the bottom here you can edit the key mappings, and you can go in here to see what all the controls are for the aircraft. And of course you can rebind controls however you like. Part 2. Using the map. While flying, you can press escape to bring up your map. You can left click and drag to move the map around. You can zoom in with the mouse wheel and zoom out with the mouse wheel. At the top of the map display, there are 2 arrows that you can use to switch between your objectives and other very important and useful information. For example, where the fuel supplies are, where the ammo crates are, and also where many of the enemy types are. There aren't any enemies in the free flight scenario here, But for example, when you're in actual mission, you'll be able to see where the SAM launchers are, where the anti-aircraft artillery tanks are, and this can help you to plan your route to a more safe route, because you don't necessarily need or want to eliminate every enemy on the map. You only need to accomplish your objectives and make it back alive. When you have an objective selected that has multiple parts or multiple points of interest, you can select between them by left-clicking on it. For example, right now, I've got the takeoff point selected. If I left-click on the landing point, it will select that one. This will control where the green triangle is on your compass. For example, if I press escape to close the map, if you look at the top of the screen, you'll see on my compass, the green triangle is telling me which way to turn in order to head to the airport that I started at, because that's the objective I have selected. If I press escape to bring up the map and then left click on the landing point, it will change. If I press escape to clear the map and I look at the top of the screen, I can see that the green triangle is now pointing in a different direction. And if I rotate to that direction and fly in that direction, I'll eventually reach my objective, because that's the objective I have selected. The map display in Thunder Helix is extremely important and useful. If you've ever played Desert Strike, Jungle Strike, or Urban Strike on the Sega Genesis, then you'll be very familiar with this concept, because it works very similar to those games. Like I mentioned, you can switch between the different things, the different map information with these arrow keys at the top of the screen. You're going to want to do this when you first start any objective or any mission, so that you can get an idea of where most of the enemies are, where your objectives might be, especially your first objective, and where the ammo and fuel is, because as I mentioned before, you will definitely need to refuel at least once, unless it's a very short mission. Part 3. Destroying Targets. I've now loaded into the Alpha Strike scenario. The Alpha Strike scenario tasks you with flying to an objective to eliminate a target, and then flying to a landing point and landing. Now, it is partially randomized, so it won't be the same every time. If I switch to the mission itself, the first objective, which in this mission there is just one objective, you can see that I've taken off here from the takeoff point. My target that I need to destroy is down here, and after I've done that, the landing zone that I need to land in this particular version of the Alpha Strike scenario is up here. I'm going to have the target selected so I know which direction to go to reach that target, but along the way I'm obviously going to encounter other enemies, right? I can switch the map display to see where those might be. For example, there's 4 SAM launchers down here. There's quite a few anti-aircraft artillery tanks on the map. And as before, we can see where the fuel is, where the ammo is, and there's actually a display that shows where the landing/repair zones are. So, I'm going to select the target. I'm going to close the map, and I'm going to rotate to the right. And along the way, I'm going to definitely encounter enemies. As you can see right there, there's an enemy in front of me. That's what the red squares indicate. And as I mentioned at the beginning, you can zoom in with the mouse wheel, and that helps you to see the target a little more clearly. I'm going to turn away since I'm so close that they're actually shooting at me. In Thunder Helix, you can select between targets that are in range by using the R key and the T key. You can clear your current target by pressing the Y key. You can cycle between targets using R and using T. By pressing R, you will select the target that's more to the left. By pressing T, you'll select the target that's more to the right. So for example, if you have 3 or 4 targets, if you have 3 targets in front of you, and you press R and it selects the middle one, press R again, it'll select the one to the left of that. And if you press T, it'll select the one to the right of that. I'm going to turn back toward the enemy and demonstrate that for you now. And keep in mind, if the target's too far and it's not in range, then you won't be able to select it. So if I press R, you see it doesn't select it yet. I need to approach it and get closer. Now pressing R selects the target. Pressing Y clears my target. If there were multiple targets, I could cycle between them with R or T. You can also select your target with the U key, which selects the target that's in front of you, but I don't often use that key. Typically, I like to use the R or the T key to cycle between targets. Once you are in range and you have a target selected, you can fire weapon number 1 with the C key. You can fire weapon number 2 with the V key. To fire your cannon, you can either use spacebar or the left mouse button. And you don't have to point the nose of your aircraft directly at the enemy to fire your cannon. Your cannon will automatically track the enemy as long as it's within its arc of fire. So you don't have to point directly at it. Now I'm going to demonstrate this by approaching this target. I like to use the mouse wheel to zoom in a lot of times to see the target, although you don't need to, because once you've selected your target with R or T, at the bottom of the screen you will see what type of enemy it is. That's a tank with an anti-aircraft cannon. It automatically deselected that target once I turned far enough away from it. So I'm going to fly away a little bit here and then turn back and try to destroy this target. I'm going to press R to select it. Once it's selected, I'm going to press C to fire a missile. It's very cinematic and very cool. It will track the missile to its target. But I actually recommend that you go into the options and disable that setting. Under Gameplay, deselect Missile Tracking Camera. It's up to you. You could leave it selected if you want that more cinematic feel every time you fire a missile. But if you'd rather fire the missile and move on to other things more quickly, you could deselect that option. So now that I've done that, I select another target with R, and if I press T, it will select the target that's to the right of it. If I press R, it'll select the target to the left. And then if I press C, fire a missile there, I select the other target, and press C, fire a missile there. The camera won't track the missile this time. It will just launch the missiles, and I can enjoy the fireworks from my cockpit. Now I'm going to demonstrate how you might attack a target with your cannon. Once again, you can use spacebar or left mouse button to fire the cannon. You'll notice if I select the target, that circular targeting indicator will line up on the target as long as I don't turn too far away from it. And my cannon, even though I'm not pointed directly at it, my cannon will fire at that target point. It automatically does this for you. As I select and launch missiles at the targets, you'll see at the bottom left of the screen that my ammo counts will decrease, obviously. You don't have that many missiles. You, in this aircraft, typically start with like 8 missiles. So after you destroyed a few targets with your missiles, you're going to realize that you're out of ammo. I've only got one missile left. I'm being tracked by a missile. If I press F, it'll launch countermeasures, which can help to prevent a missile from maintaining a lock on your aircraft. As you can see now, the bottom left of the screen, I don't have any missiles left, or at least not the ones on the C key. If I press B, it'll launch my other missiles, which do not track the target. These are more like rockets. With these, you do actually have to point at the target. To be honest, I typically forget that I even have rockets, and usually I'm rearming after firing my tracking missiles. If I wanted to get more ammo now, I would bring up the map with escape and clicking area map here if it's not already selected, and then cycle through the options until I get to ammo crates. As you can see, there's quite a few. And then I would fly toward the nearest ammo crate, or whichever one I wanted to try to pick up. And I can use the winch to pick up the ammo to resupply. You can also see that right now, if you look at my fuel gauge, the bottom left is flashing red and yellow because I'm below 50% fuel. So I'll have to think about getting some fuel as well. And I'll cover how to winch supplies in the next part of this video, which is starting momentarily. Part 4. Winching Supplies. In Thunder Helix, your aircraft is equipped with a winch. A winch is essentially like a cable with a hook on the end that you can lower to pick up supplies like ammo and fuel and bring them up into your aircraft. This is how you resupply. You also have a ladder that can be lowered. It's the same thing as the winch, but can be used to rescue friendly pilots or to capture enemy pilots. Important to note that the only way to repair ammo in the game currently is to rescue pilots or capture enemy pilots and bring them back to a landing spot, a landing zone like a helipad or airport, and you'll be rewarded with repairs. Currently my fuel is getting very low, quite low, so I need to winch some fuel drums, or one fuel drum. I can press escape to bring up my map. I can select the fuel supply option. Oh, and it looks like I'm heading directly to a fuel drum. Perfect. See that there's quite a few fuel drums. You shouldn't need more than one or two during a mission, but they're spaced out over the map. It's randomly assigned, I think, in the scenarios and possibly even in the campaign. So where they're at may vary. Once you've identified one that you want to try to pick up, I'm going to try to pick up the one that's closest to me, obviously. Just point yourself in that direction. As you can see, I'm already pretty close to it, so I can actually select it as a target. You don't actually have to select it as a target in order to winch it, but you can if you want. I'm going to descend until I get to a fairly low altitude. I like to get down to maybe 20 or 30, and then I'm going to press 3. Actually, I descended too far and ended up landing. Or did I? Actually, I'm just above the ground. I'm going to raise my altitude a little bit. Now I'm at 10. That's pretty good. You can control your winch with the enter key. As I approach this fuel drum, I can press the enter key, and that'll bring up the winch interface at the bottom of the screen. If I take too long, it'll automatically go back to the targeting interface, which is kind of annoying, actually. If you're traveling slowly, and you're not at too high of an altitude, once your fuel drum or ammo crate or whatever you're trying to winch is within the center, you press enter a second time and it will pick it up. So I just refueled my aircraft. To be totally honest, it's going to be annoying for you, most likely, to get used to winching. It's actually one of the more challenging parts of the game. I do find it kind of fun though, because it gives you a chance to get better at controlling your aircraft and controlling the speed and direction of your aircraft, because you do have to get fairly low to the ground and you do have to travel fairly slowly in order to winch properly. But at first it's going to be maybe a little annoying, a little frustrating to learn how to winch. But after you've tried it a dozen times or so, it shouldn't be too bad. Now I'm going to pick up some ammo. Looks like that there's a couple ammo crates directly in front of me. That's what this supply is here that I can see just below my cockpit. I'm pretty much going to overshoot, so I'm going to rotate back around here. I accidentally landed again. I got so low. I'm going to try to lock my altitude around 20, 21, or 15 to 20 or so. And again, you can press your number 3 key to set your throttle exactly at 50%, which allows you to achieve level flight. This is very important when winching. If you don't do that, winching will be even more difficult. Alright, so I can see the ammo crate is in front of me. I don't have to select it as a target, but I can if I want. I'm going to press Enter key to bring up the winch interface and then try to get over it and go slow enough, and press Enter again. The winch lowers and picks up the ammo. Now I've refilled my ammo and my countermeasures. As I mentioned before, countermeasures can be deployed with the F key. If you hear a missile lock warning, press the F key, and hopefully you won't get blown up. Now I'm going to do one more winching on this other ammo crate, even though I don't need it, just to show you from the external view with F5. You'll see what's actually happening when you winch. You'll see the winch descend and hook the ammo crate and pick it up. This is not how I typically winch, but this is just kind of a demonstration visually so that you can see what the heck is happening when you're winching. My altitude is too high, so I'm going to lower. Accidentally landed again. Alright, now I'm going to try to fly slowly toward the ammo crate. Actually too low to do this properly. Now press Enter. It's telling me to slow down. Press Enter again when I think I'm over it. It's hard to tell when you're not in the cockpit. I didn't manage to get it. There we go. That second try I got it. So again, to winch, you press the Enter key, and then you press the Enter key again once you're over the supply or the pilot that you're attempting to winch. Part 5. Example Mission. At this point, you should have all the knowledge you need, all the basics of Thunder Helix, in order to have successful missions and to enjoy the game. But if you'd like to see a little bit more, I'm going to go ahead and fly an example mission here, just to show you through a mission from start to finish how I would attempt to accomplish the mission. I've loaded into the Alpha Strike mission again, and this time things are going to be a little bit different because it does randomize a little bit about the missions when you play the scenarios. So I'm taking off this time from here in the northeast. My target's down south. I need to destroy that, and then I need to land at the landing point. What I like to do when I load into the mission, take a look at least the first objective. You can also click the mission button here on the right to read what the actual mission is, or that objective you have selected. But I like to cycle through the map and get an idea, especially of where the SAM launchers are. In this case, they're really far to the south, so I may not have to worry about them too much. And where all of the anti-aircraft artillery are. I don't like to fly over all of the enemy artillery. It's obviously not a great idea. Plus, you'll run out of ammo, pretty quickly doing that and have to resupply. So I'm going to try to pick a route that avoids most of these to get to my target without having to expend all my ammo in the process. And I like to see where the fuel supplies are although it's not going to become that relevant until I get low on fuel. I can see where the ammo is. Once again, I'm not really going to remember these positions, so I'll just check it when I run out of, or run low on ammo or out of ammo. So it looks like if I go to the southeast, like this, and then come down directly south and then go west, I can probably avoid quite a few of the anti-aircraft artillery tanks. You see? I'll just show you that again. Yeah, so if I fly this direction, and I don't have to do this exactly, but roughly that, and then do this kind of thing, I probably won't have to take out as many targets or as many enemies before I reach my actual objective. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to the mission and make sure that I've got my target selected. But instead of flying directly toward it, as I mentioned, I'm going to try to fly it toward the southeast. And let's see, that means I need to turn to the left. That's pretty good. And here we go. One thing I didn't mention before is you can hold down the right mouse button and then move your mouse to the right to look to your right. And of course you can also look to your left. If you let go of the right mouse button, it'll continue to look in that direction. If you want to recenter it, press the middle mouse button. So I'm just going to kind of keep an eye on where the enemies are. Might check my map. I could probably start turning to the right now. Just for the fun of it, you can try out the different cameras. F1 is your cockpit view that I'm using right now. F2 is an external view that will not rotate with your aircraft. F3 is the tower camera. You can see your aircraft from the airport tower. F5 is what's called the slot view, which is an external camera that will rotate with your aircraft. F6 is your left side view. F7 is your right side view. F8 is a cool top-down view. I don't know how practical most of these cameras are, but the slot view is kind of nice on F5. And F1 is, of course, pretty useful because it brings you back into the cockpit. Just going to check my map, see where I'm at. I need to rotate to the right a bit more, I think. Now this is going to be a fairly short mission. As you can tell, as you maybe can see, there is a little bit of just travel time between objectives and stuff. I don't mind that. Some players might find it a little slow pace between objectives, but to be honest, the map is not that huge, and it doesn't take that long really to traverse it. I think it actually is really nice for the pacing. It gives you a little bit of peace between, you know, a little bit of calm before the storm, or calm between the storms, or whatever, depending on the mission. Of course, some missions are more dangerous and more hectic. Alright, we got a couple of targets in front of us. If I use the mouse wheel to scroll up, I can see that actually it's a couple of camels. Don't waste your missiles on camels. I don't think it's going to highlight them with a red square, so they're just decoration. We can see a magenta triangle over there as some sort of supply item. Alright, so I'm actually getting fairly close to my target. And at the top of the screen, I can of course use my compass to point directly at my selected objective. You see the green triangle at the top there. It's now in the middle, so I'm heading directly toward my objective. I'm going to press the escape key, bring up the map again. I'd like to see just again where the SAM launchers are and the anti-aircraft artillery. So it looks like I'm not probably going to have to even deal with the anti-aircraft artillery, except on my return trip. Well, not a return trip, but my trip to the landing spot. I'm not going to try to avoid all of these because it's fun to blow stuff up, and also I've got missiles. You know, I need to use them. So I'll probably take out some of these targets instead of trying to avoid everything. So after I take out the objective target, I'm probably going to fly more or less directly toward the landing spot. Anyway, I should be approaching the target here shortly. I'm going to lower my altitude a little bit too, I think. And I'm going to press 3 to lock in my altitude. I can see there's an enemy over to the right, but I don't think that's my objective. It can't be, of course, because the objective is in this direction. Alright, there we go. I think that's going to be my objective. I didn't even read actually what the objective is. It's 4 field guns in this particular version of the Alpha Strike scenario. Once again, it does randomize a lot of the positions of everything, the actual target. So it's worth replaying the scenarios. It's not the same thing each time. That's where the replay value comes in the early access version of the game, because until there's more campaigns, playing the scenarios is what you will probably enjoy the most. So there's a little bit of variety. So in this case, I have to destroy 4 field guns in this version of the Alpha Strike scenario. And we can see them up ahead. There's 4 targets. If I mouse wheel up, I can zoom in and I can actually see the field guns. I can even select targets while I'm zoomed in. R selected that one. T will select the one to the right. With R, I can cycle with the ones to the left, and so on. So I'm going to select one of these. I'm going to press C, launch a missile. I'm going to select the next one with R. I'm going to press C, launch another missile, and so on. I probably should worry a little bit about these other enemies. Yep, now they're shooting at me. So I'm probably going to select this guy down here, if possible. Okay, maybe not. Okay, I got the objective complete. Notice I'm going to increase my throttle to gain some altitude. I'm going to try to turn away from this target that's shooting at me. I'm checking my fuel, but there's plenty of fuel. No need to worry just yet. But you want to look at your fuel gauge pretty often and think about your fuel level, because it's a rough feeling to nearly accomplish your objective but fail only because you weren't paying attention to your fuel. I'm going to select this target and destroy it just for the fun of it, pretty much, but also to maybe make it a bit safer to get home or to get to my landing spot. I'm going to press escape to bring up my map, and now I'm going to select the landing spot that I need to reach without dying, and I just need to reach it and land there, and it'll be mission success. I'm also going to take a look at where the anti-aircraft artillery are. So if I just fly straight, I'll probably have to deal with 3 or 4 of these. And there's no ammo along the way. So I could turn back and get some ammo, but I don't think it's necessary. If I run out of ammo, I might just try to get to the destination and not worry about it too much. So now that I've selected the landing spot, at the top of the screen on my compass, you can see the green triangle is telling me which way to fly to get there. Along the way, I'm going to destroy some of these targets. There's an anti-aircraft artillery tank there. I'm going to press C, launch a tracking missile directly at him. And I might just avoid that truck there. It's got a gun on it, but I've only got 2 more of the good missiles, the ones that actually seek the target. So I'm going to save that. Looks like there's an anti-aircraft tank there, and another one there. I'll go ahead and destroy both of these. Now, it may look easy to destroy targets, because in a lot of ways it is with your missiles. It's not as easy with your rockets and with your gun, but with the missiles, and you don't have very many missiles. You start with 8 in this particular aircraft. You can attack from a longer range. Oh, I'm actually out of missiles now. A longer range than your enemy, typically, so you can usually destroy them before they can even shoot at you. But once you're out of missiles, it's down to the rockets and the cannon. And also, sometimes you'll be attacked by aircraft, like helicopters and stuff, and those can add a little bit more challenge too. And I'm taking some damage. I'm actually at about 60% armor, so I need to be a little bit careful. I think I might actually go ahead and try to pick up this ammo here. I think that's what that one is in front of me. Because it would be nice to have missiles again. They're fun. Alright, I'm going to hit 1 to get the lowest possible throttle so that I'll descend rapidly. Hopefully I don't get blown up while I'm doing this. In fact, it might be better to go for a different ammo. Yeah, I think I might. Yeah, I think it's gonna be safer to actually go for this ammo box. So I'm gonna press 2 to increase my throttle a little bit more. Actually, I'll press 3 to fly at a level, just to maintain altitude. Now I'm gonna head for this ammo crate because I think it's gonna be a little bit safer to pick this one up. All right, I'm getting close to it now. I'm gonna press the 1 key to reduce throttle to the minimum so that I can descend rapidly. Once I get kind of close, I'm gonna press the 3 key to maintain my altitude. Don't know if I'm low enough to pick it up. I think I overshot too, so I'm gonna have to fly a little bit further and then circle back. I might be low enough, but it'll tell me if I'm not on the display at the bottom. Alright, here we go. So I'm heading toward this ammo crate. I'm going to pull back on the mouse so I can slow down a little bit. I'm going to press enter to bring up the winching interface at the bottom. I'm going to pull back on the mouse a little bit more to slow down even more. Press enter again. Oh, reduce altitude. Okay, so I am too high. If I can maintain my position, press 2 to slow and then press 3. Oh wow, yeah, I'm hovering right above it. Press enter key again. Oh, alright. Whoa. Okay. Abort mission. We got a problem. Mayday, we got a problem. I think they blew up the ammo crate. What happened there? Let's see. Yeah, I think that. Oh my gosh, I think the enemy destroyed the ammo crate that I was trying to pick up. Nearly killed me. All right, you know what? We don't need any more missiles. Screw this. We're gonna head to the landing zone because hopefully I won't face any artillery on the way. Maybe one of them. There's another ammo I might be able to get on the way. We'll just see if we can. Maybe we can destroy this target with my cannon or something. There it is. Look at that. Okay, so it's a technical, which is like a gun on the back of a truck. I'm guessing that's the one that I saw. Actually, that might not be. It might not tell you where the truck targets are. It might be just the anti-aircraft artillery tanks that it tracks. Anyway, I'm looking at my compass at the top, so I can head toward the airfield. I can zoom in with the mouse wheel to actually see the airfield if I want to make sure that's what's on the horizon. And I think I'm going to try to land without taking out that last artillery that's kind of close there. Okay, that is actually a technical truck or whatever. So I might need to take that down before I land. It might be a little dangerous. So I'm going to lower my altitude a bit. I'm pressing the 2 key to lower the throttle so I can. Okay, I'm being shot at. I'm going to rotate away because I'm very low on armor. You can hear the missiles flying by. Oh my god, that one almost hit me, I think. Okay, this is bad. This is kind of bad. I'm going to press the 3 key so I can maintain my altitude again. I'm going to rotate back, and maybe I can take him down with my cannon. Oh god, there's a helicopter. It's going. Oh, I failed. I'm going down, folks. So as you can see, the game may seem like it's not challenging when you're blasting things from a distance with your missiles, but if you aren't careful and you're not paying attention, you can absolutely get destroyed faster than you might realize. So that's it. I'm actually going to go ahead and call it there. I almost completed the mission, but not quite. I was right above the airfield I needed to land at. I had destroyed the target I needed to destroy, but I was being a little bit careless, and I paid the price. I'm a downed pilot now. Alright folks, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helps you enjoy Thunder Helix. Thunder Helix is an excellent game. There's not a whole lot of campaigns right now. There's only one campaign, but there's a bunch of scenario missions. I'll go ahead and show you at the main menu what you have. So there's a main campaign. It's essentially one long mission called Strike the Gulf. It's pretty cool. I've done that one. I've done it a few times, and I've completed it like one time. it's probably worth replaying it a few times, if you want to. It's kind of cool. It's actually very similar to the first part of Desert Strike. And then right now, in the current early access version of the game, there are 5 scenarios. The free flight is the one that I showed you in the beginning, where I practiced flying and taught you how to fly. Alpha Strike is the one that I was just doing, where you have to seek out one target, destroy it, and then make it to your landing zone. Then you got some cool ones. These other ones I haven't even played yet, so I've got more stuff to do. You can try to rescue people in the rescue scenario. There's a supply drop scenario where you can bring in supplies, and a tornado scenario while you try to dodge tornadoes and evacuate civilians from neighboring islands. That one's going to be really interesting, probably. I haven't played that one either. I've only done the campaign and free flight and Alpha Strike so far, so I've still got more stuff to experience. So check this game out. I'll put a link at the bottom if you have it. I'm assuming you have it if you're interested in learning how to play, but maybe you're just curious what the game is like. So I'll go ahead and put a link in the description to the Steam page for this game. It's very cool. I really like this game. I was a huge fan of Desert Strike, Jungle Strike, and Urban Strike. Those were some of my favorite games on Sega Genesis. They were really challenging. They were really kind of similar to this, except from a top-down, like an isometric perspective. So this game really gives me that Desert Strike kind of feeling, but in a like actual first-person, like cockpit view type of thing. It's a really satisfying game. I wish it was a little bit more challenging, although I did fail that mission. So what am I saying? But it would be cool if there were difficulty settings. That's probably something that's coming. The developer for this is just a single guy, just one person, and I'm really glad he's making this game because it just pushes all my buttons. I really enjoy this game. So thanks for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped. If it did, please hit that like button. Maybe subscribe. Maybe give me a chance to entertain you. I make a lot of video game gameplay videos. I don't do a whole lot of editing, but I try to be entertaining without being over the top. Basically I try to be myself and have fun while also being entertaining. And I play a lot of different kinds of games, and I've got a lot more videos coming. So thanks again, folks. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great day.